This could be one of the most debated topics in all of photo and video. So which one is better, the almighty, all-protecting Pelican case or the easy-to-use, on-the-go camera backpack? I'm going to give you my thoughts on each one, some pros, some cons, and what I think is the better choice. So let's start with the Pelican case. Now, before we get into it, there's a ton of different models of cases and even inside a ton of different configurations. So for the sake of time, we don't have time to cover all of the possibilities, of course. We are using a Pelican 1510 model. I got this actually at a Goodwill. I found it for $10. But typically you wouldn't find something like that. So excuse the tape over this brand that used to be there. But I promise it is, if it's not exactly it, it is dang close to the Pelican 1510. So for example's sake, this is what we're going to be using today. Let's talk about the pros of a Pelican case. Pro number one, and we probably all know this, it's hyper protective. Pelican has built their brand on guaranteeing the safety of your gear. Now, these things can withstand water, dust, falls, maybe minor fires. Don't quote me on that. But these things have it all. When you use a Pelican case, you know without a doubt that your gear is protected. One of my buddies once told me he likes Pelicans because he likes knowing that someone can't accidentally sit on his camera. Another bonus tip is that you can sit on these as a seat and your gear will be just fine. So if nothing else, if safety is the biggest thing for you, right off the bat, number one pro to Pelican case, they are super protective. Pro number two for the Pelican cases is their versatility. Like I started the video saying, there are so many configurations to a Pelican case and so many models of Pelican cases. They don't actually just have to carry camera gear. If you have other valuables or other things you want protected, Pelican cases probably have a case for it or a case that would work for it. Super versatile. They're also versatile in the way that you set them up. For instance, this will be in a separate video for another time, but I can pretty much fit everything I need for a basic shoot in one configuration inside this Pelican case. But let's say I needed to take more or less gear or different gear. I could swap out the foam, I could swap out my layout, and I could take a completely different set still in the same case. The third pro I have is they are backed by a lifetime warranty. Now, fair warning, this is only for workmanship errors and daily use. So if you are abusing your case, they won't replace that. But you can have a pretty good reassurance that whatever happens to your case, if you're treating it well and you're just using it every day, if it has a failure, they will replace it. It comes with a lifetime warranty. And again, that's probably only if you buy it directly from them. In my case, this probably doesn't have a warranty. I have no clue how old this is. Like I said, I got it on sale, Goodwill, $10. What a steal. Couldn't believe it. They even couldn't believe they had it priced that low. So a huge win for me, but likely not under warranty. So what are the downsides to a Pelican case? Pelican cases are typically on the heavier side once they're full of gear, which is not always fun when you're trying to put them in and out of airplane overhead bins or in and out of trunks. Of course, it depends on how much you pack in them and how full they are, but in order to protect, they gotta have some weight to it. Now, likely the biggest downside, and you're probably shocked I didn't start with it, is the price. Outside of my fairy tale ending finding this at a Goodwill for $10, usually this type of model is going to run you anywhere from $200 to $300 after you decide what foam inserts you want and padding and any accessories you might want. So you're investing quite a bit of money in the fact that you'll be able to pack your gear and have it protected no matter where you go or what you do. This is an investment and you're going to pay the price for it. If we're going to get really nitpicky, a con to Pelican cases are typically their size and the fact that they only have one access point. It's not as easy as just pulling it out, setting it on your lap in the car or on a plane, grabbing gear you need and putting it back. You need space to open these. One access point on all of them, and you need a variety of space to open. This case is, I don't know, probably a couple feet long, and when I open it up, the case is probably 1.5 feet tall. Like, again, you're not going to be able to just whip this thing out, set it on your lap in any scenario. Now, if you've got the space for it, of course, that's great, but it's not quite as easy to use on the go, on the fly, as far as accessing it and getting to your gear. Again, that's super nitpicky, and if you know you want a Pelican case, you've already crossed that off your list. It doesn't matter. But for the sake of the video, I had to find some cons. All right, enough about the Pelican case. Let's talk camera backpacks. And again, we will start with the pros. My example today is this Brevet Roamer 2. I don't even know if they make this backpack anymore, but it's relatively similar to a lot of camera backpacks that you will find on the market. The first plus to a camera backpack is simply the options available to you. There are so many backpacks out there that you can sort by price range, by layout, by size. You should have no problems finding the right camera backpack to fit exactly your needs. Secondly, they're easy to use. You can take backpacks anywhere. In fact, you've probably done this even without a camera backpack, maybe with personal items. You can wear it on the go as you shoot. Set it down. Use it as a carry-on. Use it as a personal item under the plane seat so you can have another carry-on. They're simple and they're easy to use in any situation. The third pro I have for camera backpacks is their access points and compartments. It's easy to see where your gear fits into a camera backpack. There's a certain level of intuitiveness when you're looking for one and buying one and then packing one to know where certain things fit and where they don't. For instance, this backpack has 6 main compartments that I can put things in. I won't go into the details of this backpack. Again, it's just an example, but you get the idea. It's got a lot of compartments and it's pretty easy to figure out where gear fits and where it doesn't. On a Pelican case, that's not so intuitive. You get a blank slate and it's up to you to figure out the best way to configure that space in order to fit the gear that you need. I know I'm not telling you anything you guys probably don't know, but sometimes it's helpful just to talk it out, pros and cons. So with that being said, let's get into the cons of a camera backpack. If we're talking about the downsides of a camera backpack, we've got to start with the fact that they pretty much don't protect anything at all. Outside of minor bumps and falls, there's really not extra layer of protection. Now, some brands will add extra layers, be it a hard material or extra cushion, but if your camera bag takes a big fall or you drop it somewhere or someone sits on it, you'd probably have some reason to be worried. The second con is the limited space, and like we just talked about, it's nice to know where certain gear fits. However, there is only a certain allotted space for that gear. Now, backpacks won't get much bigger than this. It's not practical to lug around something really huge and really heavy that's not really protecting your gear. When you lose that little bit of freedom relative to a Pelican case, it can be frustrating to fit all the gear you think you might want or need in a backpack like this. The last negative side I have, again, is nitpicky. It would be the longevity of your backpacks. Now, I have quite a bit of scratches and bumps and bruises on this thing, but just between the different materials, the zippers, the clips, you can pretty much guarantee that a backpack, especially if you're harder on it, is not going to last as long as something like a hard case would. So depending on how much budget you spend up front on the backpack, the materials it's made out of, and how you use it, you may be buying another camera backpack sooner than you think. I'm not saying they're going to fall apart on you. I'm just saying relative to a really sturdy material, the longevity of these is probably a downside relative to its competitor. So what does all this information mean? How do we determine a winner from the pros and cons list of each thing? I didn't tell you guys probably anything you don't already know, but I do want to give you some advice. And my first piece of advice in choosing between a hard case or a backpack would be to evaluate. Evaluate your budget. Evaluate your gear. Evaluate the environment that you typically shoot in or environments that you want to shoot in. After you do that, you should get a pretty good idea of what your needs are. Once you determine your needs, each of those variables that we talked about in each list will begin to carry a certain value to you. Once you know the value of each of those characteristics, you can begin to scratch some off the list or highlight your most important ones, which will then lead you to making a decision. So leave me a comment and let me know your guys' preference between the two. Tell me what you like, tell me what you dislike, and tell me about your experiences. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this one. And with that, until next time. I'm really trying to decide if I'm like a YouTube scripter, if I want to script all these videos, or if I'm better just off the cuff. It's really hard. I think I like scripting because it's like a guide, but I have horrible handwriting and a short memory, and so I'm trying to remember my next thing to say, and I'm always pausing. So you get a little both. You get a little scripted, you get some jump cuts, whatever. Glad you guys are here.